it's up to them players to just keep that standard and what I talked about before, that consistency. Because if you have talent, that's one thing, but then you have to show it week in, week out.
Do you think the current batch of players, the United youngsters, can surpass the class of 92?
Well, I think the success of any football team is through the spine. So the centre halves, the midfielders, the centre forwards, and I think it just shows how poor the recruitment has been over the last 10 years. That Man United have only really got one recognised centre forward, which just shouldn't happen, and a young centre forward as well, who's showed lots of promise, but has struggled in the way that there's just him. Relying on leading the line, being that number 9, whereas in the past, if you had 3, 4 centre forwards, he could come out of the team, come into the team, come in late on. So centre forward, definitely. We need to score more goals, rely too much on Bruno to score the goals. So that is definitely the problem. Is, you know, who is out there, who you able to get in the summer, and that is always the problem. That's why centre forwards cost so much money. That's why they're the ones who score the goals. But I would say centre forward definitely a priority. Personally, I would like more wide players. I'm a little bit biased. You know, when you watch Garnacho and Diallo taking players on and scoring goals and creating goals, that's what I was brought up watching with Manchester United, and then that's what I try to do when I play for United, to excite, not only win, but to excite the fans and get the fans out of the seat in the stadium and at home. So yeah, it's an important summer. I think it will take more than one transfer window to transform this team though. It'll take time, so you need patience, which sometimes you don't get. What was the second question, sorry?
Can the current batch of
players, well, again, you know, we were lucky when we came through that we had really established, brilliant, older, experienced players. So you need that. You don't only just have young players coming through, but you have older players to look up to as well. So in getting them older, experienced, quality players above you, that can also help you as a young player. But yeah, I think certainly we've got exciting players coming through, and that's always been the tradition of Manchester United. So yeah, hopefully these young players are coming into a team that, because it's difficult, because they're not winning every week, so their confidence is low. And when a young player comes into the team, your confidence can go. It dips, it goes up and down, it's like a roller coaster. So yeah, to get that consistency will be important. And then hopefully we see these young players grow and stay at Manchester United for a long time.
Ryan, can I just ask, as someone who's won 13 Premier League trophies, did you realize how special that was back then? Or was that normal? Because as a football fan, that just seemed normal at the time. But now you can reflect back how special that was, given how poorly Man U have done, not just this season, but the last few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a Manchester United fan, and we hadn't won the league for 25, 26 years. So I knew how difficult it was, and that first one was so special because it sort of gave us the confidence to go on and win many more. But I think also I remember I come second maybe 6 or 7 times as well, and they're the moments that I remember, coming second and not wanting that feeling again. So that it was always, if you won it, you wanted to defend it. If you just lost out, maybe by a point or 2 points, you wanted to get it back. So there was always something to fight. And Manchester United are always a team, no matter how they're doing, that everyone wants to beat, and you have to handle that as well. But yeah, I'm extremely lucky that I played under such a good manager, and he played with so many good players.
Great, thank you, Ryan. I'm going to open the floor again. I believe I'm at the... Yeah.
Hi, my name is Iqbal from Flash Fan. So Ryan, what is your reaction about the Manchester United versus ASEAN All-Star game? So are you excited for the game?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've been in these games and played in these games and know how special it is for the opposition, for the fans. And like I said before, to see your heroes and your players live sport is always better. You can follow your favourite player on the pitch and see what he's doing rather than being on TV. So that is important, and it's a memory. It's a memory that, you know, no one can ever take away from you. And if you're fortunate to, get an autograph or a selfie with these players. It's amazing. It's something that will stay with you forever. So, yeah, it's really special. And I think it's also a thank you to all the support, especially at this time when the club maybe isn't winning leagues and doing so well. That's when the club needs the support of the fans, not only in Manchester, but all around the world. And I'm sure the fans in Malaysia and then Hong Kong will do that.
So it's been 16 years since United came to Malaysia. So how do you feel about their return to Malaysia?
About what, sorry? About what, son?
How do you feel their return to Malaysia, the teams, the United?
Yeah, I mean, again, I can only speak from my own experience. Playing in front of a huge crowd, coming to a different part of the world and playing against different players, the effect that it will have on this region and it's memories that you can keep forever. I'm not going to lie, it's difficult for a player at the end of the season to go on tour, but also you have to do it and you have to enjoy it, enjoy the experience of coming to this part of the world. Some of these players may not have come to this part of the world before, young players, and see just how big Manchester United is and just how big the support is around the world. So to see that could maybe give you a boost going into next season.
All right, thank you. We have a question here as well. Sorry, I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
Hi, I'm Coach Don from Jurong United. You are the reason I'm a big Manchester United fan. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, my question. Youth is definitely a huge part of the DNA from Manchester United. Okay, I'm sure all of us here, we are well-versed of the class of 92, the legendary class of 92, and I'm sure a lot of us became fans of Manchester United because of one of you guys. So my question is, why do you think that our current youth players in the first team are struggling, especially in our attacks? So looking at the game, the Chelsea game today, and a couple of the games back then, you know, they seem lost in the final third. Unlike you, even Beckham and stuff, you don't have all those kind of crosses going in. The decision making has been poor. So do you think it's because of the tactics or is it because the lack of quality in our development of our youth?
Yeah, I mean, Man United have always had a history of young players coming through and doing well, but I said it before, you also need them experienced older players to help you. And, you know, some of these players are really young, 17, 18, and what, at that age, what you lack usually is consistency. So that's when you come out of the team, you go back into the team. When you're winning, that gives you confidence. So at the moment, it's difficult for a young player to come into this team because the consistency isn't there. You don't know what you're going to get, especially in the league. But what the young players can take out of this season is the European form. In Europe, they've been really good and shown really good maturity, good performances, consistency. You now have to transform that into the league, which is difficult because the Premier League, you have to turn up week in, week out, every minute in every game. Otherwise, you get found out. So that's the next step. That's the next step, to bring in more quality. Because when I was in the team, every day in training, the quality was high. It never dipped. It was always high. So when you come to the game on a Saturday, it was easy. Because during the week, it was so difficult. So it was much easier on a Saturday because you're not playing against the quality of players that you're playing every day. So that's where you need that quality, that consistency, that fight for the places, that takes you up a level, not only every week, but every day.
Hi Ryan, I'm Zul from Drama. As you know, like, it's a dream for the players to play at the big league as a Premier League. Do you have the tips, for the players, for this region, for the Asian region, what they need to take to play, at the big league as a Premier League? And also my second question, if I'm not mistaken, this is your second time to Malaysia, right? After 2009. What you miss about the Malaysia and also what you will do for your stay this year? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think for the players in the region, if you go back 20 years ago now, there are more players in the region playing in English football, playing in European football. And I think what you shouldn't forget is who you are and where you're from. and the qualities that that brings. So, yeah, I think over the next years there will be more Asian players playing in the Premier League, and it's up to them players to just keep that standard and what I talked about before, that consistency. Because if you have talent, that's one thing, but then you have to show it week in, week out. But never forget who you are and where you're from, and show your personality as well. I think that's really important. As in, I'm only here 36 hours, so it's quite busy, the schedule. So yeah, meeting the fans, and yeah, trying to enjoy myself, and then I'm back home on the plane. So it's a short trip this time. So, but I do love coming this part of the region, because I've been doing it for 30 years, and we get such a good welcome, and the fans are so knowledgeable and so dedicated. Like I said before, you know, Champions League games in the middle of the night for you, getting up, watching the games is true supporting and true passion from the United fans. So, yeah, it's a short trip, so I get to see as many fans as I can, but yeah, hopefully I'll be back soon.
Hi Ryan, Kamal from Estorina. Ryan, you have played from different eras, 90s, 2000 in the English league, right? So maybe you have some thoughts on how the Asia leagues, or especially in Malaysia, the local leagues, on how they need to level up, just like the English Premier League.
Yeah, it's that competition that you need week in, week out. So you see it now in the Premier League. The quality is so high from where it used to be maybe 2 or 3 teams. Now it's 10 teams, or apart from this year, the bottom 3, 4, everyone can beat each other. So that's what you need in your domestic league, that competitive edge. And also the national team, if the national team are doing well, that can add quality to the country as well. But yeah, that competitiveness, that mix of foreign players, but also homegrown players in the league as well, and in the teams, I think really helps, because foreign players coming in, you can learn different things from them, and also the foreign players can learn from the homegrown players what it means to play for a particular club.
Good afternoon, Ryan. Avinash here from the Star. Welcome to Malaysia.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
My question would be, during your playing days, there were lots of players who played for one team. One of them is you, and then you have Paulo Maldini, Alessandro Costa Curta, a lot of players. But in this day and age, you do not have many players who want to stick to one club. They prefer to move around. They want to experience new challenges. But fans have this fascination of seeing players playing for that one club. What do you think needs to be done? Maybe you can use Manchester as a case study. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that the player stays at the club, be a part of the ethos of the club? And yeah, that would be the question.
Well, for me personally, I was a Man United fan, so it was quite easy to stay at the club. I didn't want to play anywhere else, and I always felt, as a player, you want a challenge. You want a challenge every season, and like I said before, we were either trying to defend the league or win the league back, so there was always a challenge. And then there was winning the Champions League. So I never got bored, or never thought that I needed something else or a different challenge, because every season there was the start. I had a goal to do something. So, and again, in my personal situation, I was lucky that I had one manager. It was a successful period for the team. So I was very lucky in that department. And obviously Maldini, you mentioned Maldini, he's at AC Milan, also a huge club. So, but it doesn't happen as much as it used to, obviously. I think probably agents have a lot to do with that. Every time a player moves, they make more money. So maybe that has something to do with it. But also a change of manager. A change of manager is every 1, 2, 3 years. So one player might be a favourite for a particular manager. Another manager comes in and he just doesn't like him, or it doesn't fit into his philosophy. So yeah, there are a number of reasons why it doesn't happen so much as it used to.
Hello, sir. I'm Taufik from CSN.
So I have only one question for you today. Back then, when Manchester United under the coaching of Sir Alex Ferguson, they were known as part of the Big Six club. So right now, we saw that Manchester has gone to the second page of the list for the tables. So maybe you can share maybe a different play style from Amorim that can be adapted to make it back to the Big Six, or maybe he can create his own play style, or something might be similar to Sir Alex Ferguson play style for Manchester United to be back on top. Thank you.
Yeah, well, football goes in cycles. At the moment, it's not happening for Manchester United. Liverpool went 30 years without winning the title. Now they're the best team. So football, we will come back. It's just a matter of when. I think when you pick a coach, like we have done with Ruben Amorim, then you have to back him. And although the performances and the results haven't been good in the Premier League, I think he's brought in one player, Dorgu. So you have to back him and you have to support him, and it will take time. The problem is, if you keep losing games and the pressure, the media, the fans, it changes very quickly. So you're in this vicious circle of just constantly different managers, different players, and sooner or later you have to stick with one manager, take the consequences, and hope that eventually you'll turn things around. So I don't think anyone has the answer. It'll be interesting. You could fast forward to this time next year to see how we've done, but also recruitment is really important. Recruitment, and every successful team and every successful manager has had a bit of luck. So you need that little bit of luck. Key players not getting injured, and a young player coming through the ranks from nowhere. You see that with Barcelona now with Jamal. These are generational players who just come through, and I think with all those ingredients, that's what happens for a successful team. Good coach, good recruitment, and then that little bit of luck.
Got time for one final question?
Hi, Farah from the New Straits Times. I actually have two questions. Sorry. Okay, the first one is for Ryan. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Europa League final. You know, what kind of challenges that Spurs could pose, and then at the same time, like, how do you view, and would you care to give your prediction maybe? And then the second question is to Mr. Julian. When will we get to see the final list of the lineup for the ASEAN All-Stars? Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's an exciting final, a big pressure final for the reasons that I just give, because the prize is so big, the Champions League. So a final, anyway, there's a lot of pressure on you, and you need everything to go for you to win. You need to be ready to fight for the last minute, maybe penalties. So you need to be ready for everything. But it's a huge game for both teams because of the Champions League, and a lot of pressure on all the players. Our form against Tottenham hasn't been good in the last 3 or 4 years. But I started the questions with saying that we haven't had a good season in the league, but we still keep winning trophies, whether it be in the FA Cup or the Europa or the League Cup. I just always fancy us in a cup final to win. I always do. So it won't be easy. It'll be a nervous night for all Manchester United fans, but yeah, I think we'll win. You want a prediction? 3-1. 3-1 Man U.
It's only Spurs.
You said that, not me.
On that note, please thank Mr. Ryan Gates, everyone. Julian Kam. Sorry, I'm going to get Julian to answer your question as well. Sorry, Julian.
As part of the plan, we have not announced it, but it will be announced next week. Yeah.
Keeping it in suspense, Julian. I love it. Well, before we do a quick presentation with Ryan and, of course, Mr. Julian Kam, I'm actually going to hand over the mic again to Julian, because I do believe you have a very special announcement to make about May 28th for everyone here today.
Yeah. Everybody talking about the Europa League final. So to celebrate Manchester United to play in the Europa League, what we're going to do is we will arrange the 528 special edition jerseys of the League final edition. And then we'll give away to all the fans who purchase tickets through a lucky draw. So it will be with all the official badges, and we will give it away to all the fans as an appreciation for them to come and support Manchester United and hope they win next week. So
I love that. So just to confirm, 528 signed jerseys exclusively for
not
fans.
signed jersey. It
Oh.
is the Europa League final edition jersey.
Man, I'm glad I set the record straight for that one. All right. 528 Man U jerseys, not signed, unless it's Julian wants to sign them, of course, up for grabs in a lucky draw for the people who bought tickets to May 28th, the big game, Challenge Cup Malaysia 2025. Before that, before we wrap things up, I think Julian has one more point he'd like to make. Yeah.
For all, and I know all of you here may not be, all of you may not be a Manchester United fan, but with Brian's presence here today, we have prepared each of you a Manchester United jersey. Oh, hey. Thank you.
Who's not a Man U fan? Put your hand up.
There's going to be a cue to leave the room now. I'm joking, of course.
Who's your team? Who's your team? Arsenal.
That's okay.
Could be worse. Could be worse.
Yeah, he's had a tough enough season already, I think, fair to say. All right, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank Ryan Giggs, Julian Kam, and of course our Managing Director of Pro Events, Mr. Stat Bourgeois. We are going to do a quick presentation right now because I do believe Julian would like to present an exclusive jersey.